There is a sleeping giant in Italy, an enormous volcano the size of 2 American football fields that could blow its top and destroy entire cities. This supervolcano has been dormant for 39,000 years, but is now showing signs of life once again. So what can we expect from this new eruption? And how will it change our world? Hi, it's me, and this is our channel. Join me today as we look at the history of this enormous Italian monster and what it means for the future of Europe. Italy is known to be one of the most beautiful countries in the entire world. It is home to some of the most famous landmarks, such as the Leaning Tower of Pisa, the Colosseum, and the Trevi Fountain. And who could forget about all of the gorgeous rolling hills and coastal towns that seem to be straight out of a movie? But this beauty comes at a price, because it turns out Italy is also home to one of the largest volcanoes in the entire world. The volcano that we are talking about today is not just your typical mountain that occasionally blows its top and creates some lava. This is a supervolcano that is capable of wiping out entire cities, if not more. To make things even worse, this giant beast has been silent for 39,000 years, which means that people have built their lives right next to it, without knowing when it might wake up. This supervolcano goes by the name of the Phlegraean Fields, and it is located near Naples International Airport. It may be hard to believe, but there are actually 3 separate calderas that are all part of the same supervolcano. These calderas are like giant craters that form when magma chambers empty during an eruption. And in the case of the Phlegraean Fields, they are so large that they are visible from space. But what makes this volcano so dangerous is the fact that it is located so close to civilization. People have built their homes right at the base of this sleeping giant without realizing the danger that they are in. If the volcano were to erupt today, it would cause widespread destruction and loss of life. Now let's take a closer look at this sleeping giant and see why it is so dangerous. The Phlegraean Fields supervolcano is located in the Phlegraean Fields, a large volcanic complex in the south of Italy. The complex consists of 3 major calderas, the Astroni, the Trifogli, and the Sette Sande, as well as several smaller ones. The main caldera, the Astroni caldera, is about 13 kilometers wide and 5 kilometers deep. The volcano has been quiet for thousands of years, but in recent years it has shown signs of activity once again. In 2012, for example, the Italian authorities raised the alert level of the volcano from green to yellow because of increased seismic activity and gas emissions. They even went as far as to issue evacuation orders for the nearby towns just to be safe. Fortunately, the situation stabilized and the evacuation orders were lifted. But this is just one example of how unpredictable and dangerous this volcano can be. The first written account of the Phlegraean Fields comes from the Greek writer Strabo in the 1st century BC. He described the area as being full of swamps and poisonous gases, but also as a place of great natural beauty. Pliny the Younger also wrote about the Phlegraean Fields in a letter to the Roman statesman Tacitus. He described the area as being so beautiful that it was a pleasure just to look at it. Despite its beauty, however, the Phlegraean volcanic complex has always been dangerous. There have been several large eruptions over the past few million years. The most recent major eruption occurred about 39,000 years ago. It is estimated that about 27 cubic kilometers of material was ejected during this eruption. That's enough to cover the entire city of Rome in over 10 meters of ash. The ash from this eruption spread all over the Mediterranean, and scientists have found layers of it in Greece, Turkey, and even in the eastern United States. What makes this supervolcano so dangerous is the fact that it is located so close to civilization. If it were to erupt today, it would cause widespread destruction and loss of life. In fact, the Phlegraean volcanic complex is considered to be one of the most dangerous volcanoes in the world. According to a study published in the journal Quaternary Science Reviews in 2014, the Phlegraean Fields has the potential to cause a global climatic disruption due to its proximity to the ocean. The study concluded that a large eruption at this site could have devastating consequences for human civilization. Another study published in the journal Geology in 2018 found that the Phlegraean Fields is more likely to produce a smaller but still devastating eruption in the near future. The study suggests that instead of a large explosive eruption, we should be prepared for a smaller but still significant eruption that could release large amounts of toxic gases and ash into the atmosphere. If that happens, many European cities will be affected. Some of the hardest-hit areas will include the Campania region of Italy, which is home to the cities of Naples and Salerno. The entire region would be covered in thick ash, and the air would be filled with poisonous gases. The infrastructure would be destroyed, and the economy would collapse. But the effects would not be limited to Italy alone. The ash cloud would spread throughout Europe, blocking out the sun and causing temperatures to plummet. This would lead to a so-called volcanic winter, a period of abnormally low temperatures that can last for months or even years. Crops would fail, animals would die, and people would starve. It would be a true test of human survival. During the eruption, people would need to wear gas masks while outside, and all outdoor activities would be cancelled. Schools, offices and shops would be closed until the ash cloud clears away. Even then, it would take months or even years for the economy to recover. During this time, there would be food shortages, and people would have to rely on government assistance to survive. But what is really amazing is that people actually live here. There are several towns and cities located in the shadow of the Phlegraean Fields, including the city of Naples, which is home to more than 4 million people. People live here because the land is fertile and the climate is mild, but they do so at their own risk. If the volcano erupts, they will be in grave danger. In fact, there have been smaller eruptions of the Phlegraean Fields in recent history that have caused damage and loss of life. In 1278, for example, there was a small eruption that killed 26 people. And in 1631, another small eruption caused even more damage. The most recent eruption was in 1980, when Mount Vesuvius erupted and killed more than 2,000 people. While not part of the volcanic complex, this eruption was a reminder of the volatile nature of the region. You would think that after all these years, people would have learned their lesson and moved away from this dangerous volcano. But you would be wrong. In fact, more people are moving to the area every year because of its natural beauty and Mediterranean climate. The reality is that there is nothing that can be done to stop a supervolcano eruption. Even if we had known about this volcano and its dangers in advance, we couldn't have stopped it. Scientists can monitor the activity of a volcano and issue warnings when an eruption seems imminent. But ultimately, there's no way to stop a volcanic eruption once it begins. Even if we could somehow stop the eruption, the damage would already be done. The ash and gases released during an eruption can cause widespread destruction and loss of life. The only thing we can do is prepare in advance and try to minimize the damage. The best way to do this is to evacuate the area around the volcano and set up shelters for people to take refuge in. We can also develop early warning systems to give people as much notice as possible that an eruption is imminent. But even with all of these precautions, there is no guarantee that we can save everyone. Volcanic eruptions are a natural disaster that we simply cannot control. Do you think that people should be allowed to live in dangerous areas like the Phlegraean volcanic complex? Or should we relocate everyone who lives in harm's way? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to our channel to be notified when we publish similar videos.